Hello everybody. So we stopped here in last lecture, and today we'll start from the urinary system. Urinary system is called the major excretory system. Most of the toxic chemicals are excreted through the urinary system. Urinary system produces urine, and through the urine the toxic chemicals get out from the body. Okay, toxic chemicals, as I mentioned before: urea, these are metabolic toxics; uric acid, ammonia. Okay, so those are harmful chemicals, should be excreted regularly out from the body through the urinary system. Now, the main organs are the kidneys. Two kidneys, right and left, produce urine. So production of urine is the function of the kidneys, production of urine. Now if I ask you how the kidneys produce urine: by filtration. So filtration is the process, function is urine production. How? By filtration. After the kidneys produce urine, that urine from the kidneys are taken to the bladder by the ureters, the tubes, narrow tubes called the ureters. So from two kidneys, the ureters take the urine to the bladder. So transport urine from where to where? From the kidneys to the bladder. So urinary bladder is the organ that holds urine for hours, few to several hours, which is very important. You know, your kidneys are continuously producing urine. If you didn't have a bladder, then urine would have, secreted or excreted out continuously from the body, which would be really, disturbing and bothersome. So bladder holds the urine for few to several hours, and when you desire, you can excrete the urine out to the atmosphere outside of the body. Who takes the urine out from the bladder to the atmosphere? Ureter, the last structure. Okay, so two kidneys, two ureters, sorry, not ureters, urethra. Urethra is the last part. Okay, so two kidneys, two ureters, one urinary bladder, and one urethra. Now, this part, urethra, is not exactly same in male and female. Male urethra is long, 15 to 20 centimeter. Okay, male urethra is very long compared to female. In female, the urethra is 4 to 5 centimeter long. Okay, So only this part is different in male and female. Also, male urethra is a part of both reproductive and urinary. You know, the semen, sperm also gets out through the male urethra as well as the urine. However, female urethra is only the part of female urinary system, not the reproductive system. So those are the organs of the urinary system, and I mentioned the main function is the excretion of toxic chemicals. Uh, Also, urinary system regulates body fluid and blood volume and blood pressure. These are connected to each other. Blood pressure. So these are controlled by the urinary system. Now body fluid, you know, if you drink a lot of water, the excess water that your body doesn't need will be excreted through the urine. So if you drink more water, your urinary system will produce more urine. If you don't drink water, your urinary system will do what? Will produce highly concentrated, small amount of concentrated urine, because it will try to preserve the water in the body, retain the water, will not let the water get out. Now if you drink more, it will let excess water get out, but if you don't drink, your body is dehydrated, your urinary system will not let the water get out through the urine. So you see, uh, by those two actions, your urinary system regulates the body fluid, volume of the water in the body. Blood volume. The urinary system also regulates the blood volume by regulating the body fluid. If you drink a lot of water, first from your intestine, the water will enter into the blood, right? Then will go to the kidneys. So immediately the blood volume goes up when you drink water. So your urinary system regulates the blood volume. How? If you drink a lot of water, blood volume will go up because blood will take the water from the intestine and blood volume goes up, and the kidneys will start to work by producing more urine. So blood volume will go down. Blood pressure. By regulating the blood volume, your urinary system helps to maintain the blood pressure. If your blood pressure drops, then uh, your urinary system will not let the water get out from the body, will uh, maintain the blood volume, and by maintaining the blood volume, your blood pressure will be maintained. If blood volume is less, if the blood volume is low, then blood pressure is low, because blood pressure is pressure given by the blood. So more blood, more pressure. Less blood, less pressure. Okay. So you see, by regulating the volume of blood, your urinary system regulates the blood pressure. uh, Regulation of pH, which is very important. If in your blood hydrogen ion concentration increases, the amount of hydrogen increases, the pH goes down. Okay, so opposite. Remember, this is very important. If the concentration of hydrogen increases, the pH goes down, and low pH means acidic. Okay, so that will cause acidosis, a clinical condition, acidosis. So if the blood moves towards acidic as a result of decreasing the pH, that is called, that will cause acidosis, which is not good for the body. So in that case, what the kidneys will do, the urinary system will excrete excess hydrogen ion through the urine. So if acidosis occurs due to increased hydrogen ion, decreased pH, then your urinary system will do what? Will excrete excess hydrogen ion. So the pH will go back to normal, right? Acidosis will be removed. So that's how the pH is maintained, by regulating the hydrogen ion. The reproductive system. Reproductive system is the only system which is completely different in a male and female. That's why we consider them as two separate systems, male and female reproductive systems. The organs of male reproductive system: external genitals, external genital organs in case of male are two: scrotum and penis. So penis and scrotum, those are male external genital organs. Then you have gonad. Male gonads are what? Testes, two. And also you have ducts. Ducts are tube-like structures like ductus deferens. Okay, deferens. Then you have glands like prostatic gland. So those are main male reproductive organs. Okay. In case of female, female genital organs include labius majus or labia majora, labius minus or minora, hymen, clitoris. Okay. Then the gonads, most important. Female gonads are two ovaries. Okay. And then you have glands, include mammary gland or female breast, mammary glands. You have ovaries are glands too. also gonads. Okay. Then you have other organs, uterus, very important. The fetus grows inside the uterus, right? It houses the fetus as well as the embryo. Then fallopian tube or uterine tube. Fallopian or uterine tube. So these are the main female reproductive organs. Okay. Now the functions. You know that ovaries produce female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Okay. And these hormones are produced by the ovaries. And the main functions of the female reproductive system includes, one is of course reproduction, because this is reproductive system. Reproduction is the most important function. Without the reproductive system, the offspring or new life will not be produced. So very important, right? Although individual reproductive organs are not that important, you can remove ovary or testis. However, uh, the reproduction is very important. By producing ovum, and a female reproductive system helps in reproduction. Ovum is the egg. And hormones perform a number of functions, as I mentioned earlier. Growth and maturation of the reproductive system, secondary sex characteristics, those features, by looking at those features you can separate a female from a male. Female secondary sex characteristics, and uh, sexual behavior and drive, those are also controlled by the hormones. Same thing, uh, same is true for the male reproductive system. The hormone is produced by testes, and the hormone is called testosterone, and the hormone gives the secondary sex characteristics that separates characteristics that separate a male from the female, and also growth and maturation of the reproductive organs, and the sexual behavior and drive. So those are helped by the male reproductive system. Testes produce sperm and testosterone hormone. Okay, and hormone regulates those functions, and sperm help in reproduction. So those are the systems of the human body. Survival needs. What you need to get uh, from outside, you need to get regularly. You need to get these things. You need to get food that provides nutrients, right? Proteins, carbohydrates, fats. You need oxygen regularly, right? 24 hours for metabolism. So these two, nutrients and oxygen, they are used for metabolism. Those are the materials for metabolism. Okay, so nutrients and oxygen are used for metabolism to produce what? ATP, that gives energy. Metabolism also produces few other things. Metabolism produces small amount of water. Metabolism produces heat. You know, when you do exercise, metabolism increases, more heat is produced, right? We all know that metabolism produces heat. Metabolism produces toxic chemicals, metabolic waste, and carbon dioxide, that gas. So you see, these are the outcomes or products of metabolism. Now, few of these are helpful and few are harmful. ATP gives energy, so that is essential for the body. Water is good for the body. Heat is very important for your body. If heat is not produced by metabolism, your body will uh, become very cool, hypothermia, and the systems will stop working. So regularly, you know, production of heat, continuous production of heat in the body is very important. So these are good stuffs. Metabolic wastes like toxic chemicals, ammonia, urea, those are harmful. So these are not good. This is not good. So they should be eliminated or excreted regularly out from the body. So these are essential. Water. You need to drink water because water is the main component of the blood, and you know that blood transports many important chemicals that we already discussed before. So and also in water, most of the chemical reactions of your body take place. You know, dry chemicals, if you mix them, usually chemical reactions don't occur. But if you mix them in water and then mix the solutions, chemical reactions will occur. So most of the chemical reactions in your body are helped by water, where the chemicals get mixed with. Water is the most abundant chemical in the body. Your body is actually mainly formed by water. Uh, Maintaining normal body temperature is very important for the chemical reactions. If you have chemistry background, you know that optimum temperature is necessary for the chemical reactions. That means, specific temperature is important for the chemical reaction to take place or occur. And most of the chemical reactions that occur in your body, almost all chemical reactions that occur in your body, for them the optimum temperature is normal body temperature. So most of the chemical reactions occur in normal body temperature inside the body. Thousands of chemical reactions take place. And if the body temperature drops, hypothermia occurs, the chemical reactions will get slow or even may stop. So changed body temperature will slow or stop the chemical reactions. Same if the body temperature increases. So we need normal body temperature for the chemical reactions inside the body. Appropriate atmospheric pressure. We live at sea level, you know. The reason is the pressure of oxygen is adequate or optimum for our survival. If you go on the top of Mount Everest or on the top of high mountain where the pressure of oxygen is low, you won't be able to live there without oxygen, carrying the oxygen. So the pressure of the gas in the air is very important. Okay, so we talked about the important necessary life functions and the uh, maintaining the functions of the body, we need to maintain some body functions. Now we'll talk about a very important process that is called homeostasis. Homeostasis is the process of maintaining internal environment of the body normal. Maintaining internal environment unchanged or constant, which is very important. Your blood pressure should be maintained, right? Your heart rate should be maintained. Your respiratory rate should be maintained, right? The functions of the body should be maintained. If that homeostasis is lost, then we get the diseases, abnormal functions. So homeostasis is very important to maintain the normal functions, the functions within the normal limit or range. That is homeostasis. Now, inside your body, homeostasis is occurring continuously. For example, if you get scared, your heart rate increases, heart beats very fast, right? Your blood pressure goes up suddenly. And you all know that the blood pressure comes down, heart rate goes back to normal because of homeostasis. Your body will try to take them back to normal or bring them back to normal, and that happens all the time, right? So in normal situation that will happen. If your body temperature increases, then how homeostasis is maintained? By sweating, right? So heat gets out from the body with the sweat or water that gets out from the body, and that is another example of homeostasis, right? If you get a cut, initially bleeding occurs, but after a while the bleeding stops. How? By forming a clot. The blood bleeding stops. So that is also homeostasis. So your body is continuously working. It's a dynamic, function to maintain the internal environment unchanged. Now, homeostasis is maintained by two mechanisms. One is called negative feedback. Negative feedback. Most of the cases, the homeostasis in your body is maintained by negative feedback. In few instances, we see positive feedback mechanism. So those are two mechanisms. This one is used in most of the cases. Okay. To bring the function back to normal. To bring the function back to normal. Negative feedback, okay? Positive feedback is mainly used to accomplish a particular task, completion of a task by increasing the function. Okay, so let's first talk about the negative feedback mechanism. The body temperature. So this is the normal range of your body temperature. This is normal range of body temperature. This is the upper limit and this is the lower limit. So if your body temperature is within this narrow range, we consider that your body temperature is normal. Now, your body temperature can vary within that range. Sometimes slightly warm, sometimes a little bit less warm. Now, if you get, your body temperature increases and tries to go above and beyond the upper limit, then what will happen? Your homeostasis will work here at this point because the temperature is trying to go beyond. So homeostasis will work, okay, will start to work. And how in this case the homeostasis will be maintained? By sweating. So you know that sweating will take the heat out from the body. However, so the body temperature will get back to normal. However, if sweating or homeostasis fails, then what will happen? The body temperature will go above the upper limit, right? And that is a clinical condition called fever. We all know that, right? High body temperature. So you see, if homeostasis is lost, that becomes a clinical condition or disease. However, your body always tries to bring it back or keep it within the normal range. But if the body fails, homeostasis is not maintained. That becomes a disease. If body temperature tries to go below the lower limit, then how your body will try to maintain the temperature? By causing shivering, contraction of the muscles. So shivering will occur here. So body will try to maintain homeostasis and it will stay within the normal range. However, if the body cannot, bring it back to normal, the body temperature will go below lower limit, normal limit, and that is hypothermia. Hypothermia, okay, which could be very dangerous. So you see that in both cases, your body is trying to maintain homeostasis, internal environment within the normal range. So bringing down or moving up, both are trying to do what? To maintain within the normal range, keep within the normal range. And both belong to negative because negative to bring the function back to normal. Okay, so both bringing the temperature down back to normal or moving the temperature, increasing the temperature up to moving back to normal are examples of negative feedback. Sometimes students confuse that bringing down is only negative. No, it is bringing back to normal, that is negative. Okay, now positive feedback. Positive feedback is to completion or accomplish a function. When you get a cut, for example, this is your artery, you got a cut here, injury here, bleeding will occur, right? So blood will get out. However, at the same time, clot will start to form. Initially, the clot is small, then gradually more and more platelets, one type of blood cells, will stick to that clot and make it bigger. So that will seal the injury or opening to stop bleeding. So you see, initially, the clot is small, but gradually it gets what? Bigger to accomplish the function, stopping the bleeding. And that is a good example of positive feedback. Okay. Another good example is uterine contraction during childbirth. What happens during childbirth? Initially, the uterus contracts very weakly, and then the intensity or strength of contraction increases until the childbirth takes place. So you see here, the function or the strength of contraction is gradually increasing until it accomplishes the function. So increased the strength of uterine contraction is also an example of positive feedback. Okay, so clot formation from small to larger, and uterine contraction from weak to stronger. Those are good examples of positive feedback mechanism. Now, to complete the feedback mechanism, you need 5 components. You need a stimulus. Okay, stimulus, in case of when body temperature increases, stimulus is the heat. Let me give you that example. So heat is the stimulus. Okay, then the body has temperature receptors. We talked about that. You have temperature receptors that will detect. So receptors are the second components. First is the stimulus, for example heat. Second component is the receptor. Receptor must detect that change. Then the signal will be sent to the control center. Who is the control center? The central nervous system, or CNS. Your brain and the spinal cord is the control center. So the receptors will send signal to the control center, the nervous system. Why the signal should go to the control center? Very important. Because the control center, your brain, does what? After receiving that signal from the receptors, brain will interpret, analyze, right? Or read out that signal. Why? Because the temperature increase could be 1 degree, 2 degree, or 5 degree Celsius, right? So the brain needs to interpret. Receptors cannot interpret. Receptor just detects the change and send the signal to the brain. Brain can analyze, interpret, right, or integrate that signal, and then the brain will decide how much signal should go to the effector. For example, in this case, sweat gland, right? Now, if the temperature increases only 1 degree, then the brain will detect that it's only 1 degree increase, so less signal should go to the sweat glands. If it is 4 degree, then more stronger signal should go to the sweat glands to release more sweat. So you see here, control center is very important, right? It is receiving the signal, interpreting it, and also sending the motor command to the effector organ. In this case, the effector is the organ that performs the task, the sweat glands. Okay, glands. So those are the 5 components of the homeostasis mechanism: stimulus, receptors, then from the receptors the sensory nerves take the signal to the control center, then control center sends the motor command through the motor nerves, okay, to the effector. So efferent is motor, carrying the motor signal command, and afferent is sensory, taking the signal from the receptors to the control center. Okay, so those are the 5 components of homeostasis: stimulus, receptors, afferent nerves, which is sensory, then control center, and then efferent that takes the motor command from the control center to the effector. And effector performs the action. Okay, effector. So those are 5 components of homeostasis. So 2 mechanisms, positive and negative, and 5 components. Okay, so if I ask you how many mechanisms, 2. How many components to complete the task? 5 components. So I already gave you the examples of positive and negative. So that's all about the orientation of the human body, and in next lecture I'll talk about the chemical level. You remember, uh, chemical level is the smallest level of organization, includes the atoms, right, and molecules. So we'll talk about those, okay, in next class. Okay, so in orientation of the human body, you learned first you learned the definitions of anatomy and physiology. Also you learned what is pathology. You learned the subdivisions of anatomy, how we divide the anatomy. Then you learned about different systems of the body, 11 systems. We talked about those 11 systems. 2 important things you need to remember from this lecture: the important organs of each system and few important functions. Okay, then we also talked about different levels of organization from the smallest to the largest in order, so you need to know that. Then we talked about the necessary life functions and what are the things you need to maintain the life. Then we talked about a process that is called the homeostasis, and the mechanisms of homeostasis and the components of homeostasis. Okay, so those are the main items we covered in this part of our lecture. So thank you.